Let's do it.
All right. Well,
Just
hello,
start here.
everyone. What?
Just go ahead.
Welcome to the third class of Spiritual Purification and Physical Immortality. Third and last class. I need you to allow me the correct me screen sharing, please.
Yes, sorry.
That's okay. It was confusing in the beginning. All right. All right. So today we have the agenda for today is now we're going to do a little bit of a quick meditation. Then we'll do the practices together with earth, air, water, fire, and mind. And then we'll talk about how your practices have gone over the past week, including the situation, circumstance, event that you started with that you wanted to have some kind of an improvement on, and see if you had any insights or shifts or intuitions and things about that. Then we'll just talk general about how everything has come together for you from over the past week. Then we'll do a little bit of a lecture discussion questions. We're going to talk a little bit about death because we're talking about life, and so we kind of have to have a little bit of perspective. So we'll talk a little bit about death, and then we'll talk about who the immortals are and how they set an example for us and why we care, why they're important. And then we'll just do kind of a summary of what I hope you have gotten from this class, some of the major points from this class. And then I will give you a little bit of a blurb about, from here on out, if you like this stuff, how you can get in touch with me, how you can work with me and other classes that I'll be teaching. So first, a quick little meditation. And I wanted to say the reason that we do this kind of quick meditation is because to me it's directly applicable to comporting your thoughts towards a higher realm, higher way of being, and applying those thoughts specifically to the situation, event, circumstance, or relationship that you started with that you wanted to improve over the course of these 3 weeks. So the meditation is a way of kind of just bringing you into your body and applying the meditation to your life in a specific way. So go ahead and get comfortable and take a little bit of a deep breath and sink in. I am my I am presence, and I am one with the I am presence of all humanity. The center of my universe is the threefold flame in my heart. My universe consists of every person, place, condition, and thing in my life, conscious or unconscious, past or present, through obvious choice or through karmic liability. Within my heart flame, I have the ability to love my universe free of all lower energies, and thus I set myself free. Simultaneously, I assist every other point in my universe to move forward in the light. With this affirmation, the cosmic force of the Mother of Pearl resurrection flame and the flame of transfiguring divine love pour through the threefold flame in my heart. Now, instead of being a victim to the circumstances in my world, I know I am the master of my life. I now visualize myself in the center of my universe with every person, place, condition, or thing in orbit around my heart flame, some close, some at a great distance. I visualize each one receiving the uplifting frequencies of God's resurrection flame and the flame of transfiguring divine love as it flows through my heart flame. In every case, This sacred fire is a greater force than any negative energy associated with that person, place, condition, or thing. I am now loving free every point in my universe from the center, which is my heart flame. I remain in this elevated state of consciousness, and I affirm with deep feeling, I am the center of my universe. I am a force of God's resurrection flame and the flame of transfiguring divine love to all points in my universe. I am a master over every vibration less than divine love. I am free. I am free. I am eternally free. Now I am aware of my physical presence on earth, and I know I am one with all life. I gently remove my attention from the outer world and I reverently enter the divinity of my own heart flame. Within this sacred space, my Father, Mother God envelop me in the most exquisite frequency of the Mother of Pearl resurrection flame. This sacred fire begins resurrecting my physical, etheric, mental, and emotional bodies into the full embrace of my I Am presence. I breathe in deeply, and on the holy breath, I realize that I am ascending in consciousness into the very heart of my Father, Mother God. Instantly, I am enveloped in my godparents' unfathomable, transfiguring divine love. I hear the harmonious tones, and I absorb the celestial fragrance of this divine love. I breathe in deeply again, and suddenly I feel the resurrection flame lifting me into higher and higher frequencies of divine love, oneness, reverence for life, eternal peace, and God's infinite abundance. I pierce into the core of purity within each and every one of these celestial patterns, and the splendor of these glorious expressions permeate my being. I am now experiencing an awakening beyond anything I have ever known. A new level of divine wisdom is being resurrected within my heart and mind. In a flash of enlightenment, I know and fully understand how I am to convey divine love and reverence for all life to the mass consciousness of humanity. This realization is encoded within my conscious mind and will now be tangibly available to me whenever I need to recall this sacred knowledge in my service to humanity and all life. In deep humility and gratitude, I accept the opportunities that my Father, Mother God are now presenting to me. Through my I Am presence, I consecrate my life to be an open door through which the full spectrum of the resurrection flame and the flame of transfiguring divine love now flow to bless all of life on earth. With each in-breath, I ascend higher and higher into the multifaceted celestial frequencies of the resurrection flame and the flame of God's transfiguring divine love. And with every out-breath, I breathe this sacred fire forth to consecrate all life evolving on earth. This purification paves the way for the conscious mind and the superconscious mind within each individual to merge and become one. In this state of at-one-ment, each person's I Am present comes to the forefront and takes dominion of their life. As this occurs, the life, body, mind, and soul of each person is quickened and resurrected into a state of enlightenment that clears the way for the fulfillment of the divine plan. I accept and know that this activity of light has been God victoriously accomplished on this sacred and holy day, and will increase in power and might daily and hourly with every breath I take. And so it is. Beloved, I am. Beloved, I am. Beloved, I am that I am. And presence yourself back when you feel like you're ready to. All right. So how did your practices go this past week? Oh, no, wait. Let's do the practices. Okay, so 20 connected breaths. Ready? I mean, do it on your own, but I'll count anyway. So ready? And Nadi's breathing on your own. Got a dry throat with that one. Earth next. Feel like dancing? About a minute of dancing or moving or yogaing or whatever you feel like. So about a minute of just moving the body and feeling good inside yourself. I'm dancing with Barbara. It's a dance party. All right. Air, earth, still a little dry. Everybody water. Oh, you want to do fire first? Let's do fire. Tracy's got fire out. We'll do fire. All right. So, have y'all been using an affirmation over the past week or couple of weeks? Do you have an affirmation or a mantra or something so that while we look at the fire, you can do your affirmation? We'll still do affirmations, but so just add that and add, think of positive thoughts while you look at the fire. And so about a minute looking at the fire. Ready, go. I could just really sink into that one. Okay. And water. You want to bless it on your own? Yeah. So bless the water, drink and sprinkle. All right, everybody good with that? All right, so I will start, and I guess I will just say the name of the next person, each one. So number one is me. I have a unique energy vibration which expresses itself in my thoughts and actions. Tracy?
My thoughts and feelings transform through love.
Janine?
My connection with the infinite source of love is and always has been enough. I let go and allow love to be co-creating my life in love.
Barbara? Unmute, Barbara. Uh-oh.
I found the unmute. Now I got to find the number. My soul loves me and accepts me always. I'm so grateful. Therefore, I can love and accept myself and others always.
Carrie?
My energy creates my life experiences. My being is only love and light.
Mara?
My energy vibration influences the action I take.
Mary Pat?
Everything is energy. Shifts in energy one place, shifts energy other places.
And we'll start over. I uplift and benefit humanity through my service in love. Tracy?
I allow divine plan to lead me to giving and receiving infinite love. I trust divine plan and surrender to its flow.
Janine?
I freely release patterns, habits, and thoughts that no longer serve my soul's purpose.
Supporting loving opportunities and synchronicities are natural flow of divine energy.
Mara?
My soul is perfectly designed for me to thrive in learning and loving in my experiences.
Carrie?
Love is my natural state. Love is the remembrance of who I truly am, the soul in me and in all others.
Mary Pat?
I have limited divine energy that I allow into my mental, emotional, and physical bodies for its perfect expression. I embody wisdom. Wisdom pervades my thoughts and actions.
All right. 2 rounds enough for everybody?
Sure.
Okay. All right, so we're going to go back here and just add the reminder to everyone that as we go through today, whatever you hear or what's talked about, what you share, whatever I say, listen to it with your own free will. If you don't like something, disregard it. If you do like something, but it doesn't quite sit right, make it your own. Take pieces of everything, put them together in a way that works for you. Listen to yourself and let your soul, higher self, I am presence guide you and lead you into what is right for you on your spiritual path. Right. All right. So how did everybody's last week go as far as the practices? I'd also kind of like to hear a little bit about the situation, circumstance, relationship, or something in your life that you started with that you wanted to work on to improve. And if you've noticed anything moving, shifting, changing, that may or may not be necessarily directly relatable to the practices, but just kind of, did things change for you? Did you become more aware of anything? Did something in the situation shift or change? So practices and that situation. Should I go first? I should probably go first. Okay. All right. So, Pamela has entered. Let's admit Pamela. Yay. And we'll wait for her before I get started. Hello, Pam. We're waiting for you and Javier. I assume he's with you today. Hello.
Hello.
Hey there. Glad you guys made it. So good to see you.
How are you today?
They're very good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good, good. So we just did the practices, and so now we're just into the sharing. We just started with the sharing, so I'm gonna go. So we're talking about just how the past 3 weeks have been for you with the practices and with the situation, circumstances, or event that you chose at the beginning to work on over the next 3 weeks. So here it is. All right, so I'm okay. So all right, so this past week, this class, I kind of mentioned initially that compared to what I used to do, my practices have been less than what I used to do. And so over the past couple of years, I feel like I've been working to get back to a more regular, disciplined, intense, because I'm an intense kind of person, kind of practice. So at the end of last class, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna bathe twice a day, and I'm gonna do fire every day, and I'm just gonna, because now's the time, embrace it. Yeah, it didn't happen. So what did happen, and I didn't beat myself up, I mean, but that's really a step forward for me, is to not beat myself up over what I didn't do that I wanted to do, because I did the best that I could, and I'm okay with where I'm at. So what I did do was I did fire ceremony every day except 2 days. So that was good. The first day after the last class, though, I set the alarm for 4 o'clock in the morning. It went off. I got up. I got in the bathtub. I breathed. I did my thing, and I was like, this is a good start. That was the only day I got up at 4 a.m. But then I'm thinking, okay, but I gave myself December to kind of transition and figure things out. So I'm okay. I can still do this in January. I can still be intense in January. We'll see how that goes. I don't know. Okay, so I was happy, and I've been exercising more. So I'm happy with just that I'm doing the practices and being conscientious and aware and striving. I'm getting better. I'm forgiving myself when I don't do what I think I should do. So that was the practices. The thing that I wanted to work on really pushed me kind of to a limit. But I also do a lot of mind. We haven't done a lot of mind. I do a lot of mantra. And I think it was the mantra that kind of pushed me into. So what I discovered is that pain is transformative. When I'm doing mantra, sometimes I intentionally go into pain or sorrow or suffering, and not just of my own, but as this kind of transformative, you know, if I'm going to do it for myself and I'm one with everything, I might as well do it for everything. So, hey, bring it on. So it can get intense. And so sometimes, so what I learned is that pain is transformative. And if I allow myself to use the mantra, use the earth, air, water, and fire to go into suffering, to go into pain, I can work with it in a conscious way and in a way that I get through it. And sometimes I don't even always know what the pain or the sorrow or whatever it is. Like it's just this emotion of something, but I get through it and I know that I've transformed and I've done something. So that's my sharing. Next. Yes, Tracy.
Hi. You know, you just really sparked something for me because I've been doing a lot of mantra also. And I've been lighting a candle in the morning when I get up and do my mantra. So I have that, I do a little gazing and then I do that. And I've been blessing my water. We were camping for the weekend and we had a big, huge bonfire. That was really fun. And yeah, I sent you a picture. And the week before that, we went to a Korean spa. So we were in the water for hours. It was wonderful. And I did a water breathe here this week. So yeah, I've just been doing a lot of stuff like that. And it feels really good. And honest to God, I can't even remember what the thing I was working on. So it must have just taken care of itself. But one of the things that you just said about the suffering is, so I'm reading this book and it's using this technique that's kind of similar to that. And it's like, whenever you're uncomfortable, instead of trying to like get rid of it, go into it, like go into it and make it peak, you know, and then reclaim all that power back into your body, because that takes a lot of power. And I've been doing that. And I really feel, first of all, I feel like after I do that process and I tell myself that I, you know, like I am, you know, infinite being, that I've just fooled myself into thinking that I wasn't, so I can learn some lessons, I guess. But after I, you know, acknowledge myself that and appreciate that, I, 5 minutes later, I can't even remember what I was so upset about, you know, because I've literally felt it fully and let it go. And that's a huge, huge lesson for me, because I spent my whole, you know, most of my childhood and, you know, formative years trying to just pretend I was happy all the time. So that's, you know, just to know that all you have to do is feel your feelings, and then you move through them. They don't get stuck in your body with the breathing, you know, everything that we're doing. And I really appreciate just kind of like lining up the practices, you know, and putting them together. And I really am noticing a lot more flow in my life.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. With doing like this much of the practices, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Good. Thank you.
Yep.
Next.
I'll go.
Okie dokie.
Hey, I just want to say that I have really, really appreciated this class. So grateful for the information. And when you said last week to sort of ramp it up, and so I get in the bathtub more than I ever have, and the breathing has been really great. We have a fireplace, so I rely on that for the fire, but someone said last week, I got all kinds of candles, and I thought, yeah, I do too. So I've been, you know, lighting the candles, and the mantra. I love the Om Namah Shivaya. I love that. Been using that a lot, and I do Course in Miracles, so I do the lesson, and I use that as a mantra. And I don't know that it has, I think what has shifted for me is just the love of these practices and bringing that into my life. Last week, one day I had a really hectic day and I got home and fed the dogs, and immediately I thought, I'm getting in the tub. Usually I'd be like all about, okay, food or, whatever, straighten up, whatever. And I'm just so grateful for that, the cleansing of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I feel like these, when you talked briefly about the immortals and that this is just what they do because it's pleasurable. Like, why would you live forever if you're going to just be shopping at Target? It's not about that. It's about, just being with the elements in a sacred way. And this class has brought that to into focus more intensely than I've experienced it before. So thank you.
Yeah, good. Thank you. All right, next. Yes, Karen.
So I did step up my game, and I realized, in the past years, I've done a lot of practices, and it just made me realize that I've let a lot of stuff go, and I've replaced it with a few other things, but this definitely was good to step things up. So I did a breath this week. That's unusual. I took off from work so I could do it because it's just work. And if I don't, it's not going to happen. So that felt good to put that practice first. And also I just realized that, like, I spend the better part of most days sitting here at my desk at my computer, so I just decided to have a permanent candle here.
Nice, yes.
At the desk. Yes. While I'm working, I could get a lot of fire time in.
Yes.
So, and that Korean spa thing was excellent, I have to say. I did like 6 plunges that were timed into the ice pool, and I mean, it was good. Now, the thing that I wanted to see a change in was interesting because at first it flared up and it got really terrible. But as of yesterday and today, it's good, and it really just felt like it took total surrender. And maybe that's why it got bad first, I don't know, but it was very clear that my own powers were not by myself without bringing in higher support was not going to cut it. So I'm pleased to be reminded of that. Not that I was really trying to do it by myself, but probably some parts of me were. So things are better now. And the weird thing is I have this resistance because the thing I was working on was something that I felt I had received as guidance to do, but I was struggling often with it. And so it took a lot for me to be like, I just need to let this go. This isn't working. It's not for me right now. That's all I can say. Maybe it'll be revisited, but I think that resistance was coming from that sense of loyalty to what I thought I received as guidance. And who the hell knows if it really was genuine guidance, right? But it felt like it at the time. So I was following it, really, giving it my all. But I think there's just times when, I just don't want to be struggling. So anyway, so it did it shift, and lightning didn't strike me down.
Yeah. So may I make 2 comments? Thank you for that. May I just make 2 comments one of the things that I learned from Leonard at the very beginning is he was like, when when you lay in the bathtub for hours and hours and hours, right? There's this urge to like do something and get up and get out of the bathtub because that's what we're programmed to do. We just got to act. And he was like, he said to himself, you know, I'm just going to give up struggle. Anytime struggle comes up in my mind or in my body, I'm just going to let it go. And so I started practicing that a long time ago. It's like, am I feeling struggle? Well, let that go. And so you just said, yeah, just gonna let the struggle go. Like, do that all the time. I'm just gonna let the struggle go. And your life changes because it just stops struggling. And then the second thing I thought was, you said that what you were letting go is something that you had asked for. And what occurs to me is that when we're in like the flow, divine energy, and allowing an alignment with the divine, the mind in the flow both creates and destroys. And this is something I was going to talk about later today too. But so it seems to me like you created and then you destroyed. Perfect use of the mind, right? So anyway, but thank you for that. Next. Anyone?
I can go.
Is this, yes, ma'am?
So the practices during the week have been like they've been through the whole course, which is these are things that I do, but I don't necessarily do them as practices. So it's been more about just kind of bringing a consciousness to it as a practice, right? As a practice for purification. And so that's been really cool. I had a really cool, I don't know if anyone else did it, but I really appreciated that we did the candle gazing before we did the water blessing. Because when I closed my eyes and put my forehead on my water glass, I still had the imprint. Yes, you did. The imprint of the flame. So the flame was in my water, purifying my water.
Yes,
It was very
yes.
cool. And I'm like, oh, I got to remember that one. That good old retinal imprint. Yeah, so that was really cool. And then the thing I'm working on isn't really anything I can talk about in a recorded class. But what I will say is I have come to notice how much this situation occupies my mind, how much mental real estate it is occupying, you know, and I'm assuming it's not occupying more just because I've asked for this. I feel like it's been occupying this much real estate, and I'm not happy with that because there's no reason for this thing to be occupying that much real estate. Yeah, and so that's been just a noticing of yeah, how much thought is and recurring thought. And I'm not really an obsessor, you know, I'm not really one that takes something and grabs. So that's been a really good noticing for me.
Good.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Is this reluctance or do you'll go? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So, well, I would say that as very similar to last week, we've been continuing doing our meditations every night. So we always have all the elements present. Probably, well, and just to reinforce last comment, I believe this is kind of we think about what this course and we're like, I mean, yeah, it looks like what we've been doing is it feels like it's the way to get the soul purified, the mind get a mind clear, and probably one thing that we would do more is getting into the top We really like it, but we just not have the time for it to do it as much as we would like. But other than that, we've been feeling real good, and we are really interested of all this information about the immortals and everything. So we are we're hungry to learn more and more and more. Yeah.
Good, good, good. Thank you. Pam, do you want to add anything to that?
Um, I I don't speak English very well,
It's
but
okay.
I need to say thank you. Thank you because I can feel us, the vibes. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
And I learned with you that we need to bless the water, the meals, everything. So this is very important. So when I take a shower, I do the same. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and pause the water, and I feel much love. And I pretend to expand my conscience. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
my conscience. Yeah. So step by step, I love this way,
Yeah.
and I think we are light,
Yes.
and we are going to continue in this way.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. All right. Barbara or Janine?
I can go. I was trying to
Okey
hit
dokey.
the.
You were muted, Barbara, so she beat you to it. Go ahead, Janine. I'm
It
sorry.
was, bear with me. I'm so sorry. My energy is so low. I have had some really interesting events, and I don't, the excitement isn't matching. So bear with me. So I noticed fire was not with me a lot this week. It was really, I didn't do candles or anything like that, but breathing water and grounding. So Friday, I live near a cemetery, which has been really good for me with my grieving and all the stuff that I'm going through. I had a really magical experience that I've never had before. I went, it's pretty closed off because it's cold out now, so the gates are closed, but there wasn't too much snow. And I went, I think about 8:30 in the morning, and it's already filled with like deer and foxes and birds. It's just like the most amazing cemetery I've ever experienced in my life. And the deer were out, there were 3 of them. And I was walking down, I saw them cross my path once, and then I like went around the bend a bit, and I was working on the breath work, and I just felt like freedom to make sound because no one was there. And I was like, I don't care. I'm just letting everything out and my voice and everything. And I started to sing, and I went down this one pathway, and the deer were up on the hill. And I noticed them, 2 of them stopped. And then I turned, and they were listening to me, and I started to sing to them, and they just stayed there. And I never in my life had an experience. It was like really magical. And I like gave them gratitude, and I felt like they were honoring me. It was like the most sacred, profound experience. And then I like closed that, I wrapped it up, and then I started to walk some more. And I felt guided to just like let myself lay down. And the crows were just, there were like 5 of them that just kept circling around me. I literally felt like they were doing energy work over me.
Wow.
Like it was really, really profound.
Wow.
And then the last thing I did was connect with a tree. I was a literal tree hugger.
Yeah.
Hugging the tree. I was putting my spine up against it. It had like one really strong branch come out, and I was just like stretching my back and like thanking this tree for its support. And I mean, it was really good. See, just talking about it, I feel like my energy is coming back. And then as I left the cemetery, the way the sun was hitting the open fields, the grass is like green yellow now, but it had frost all over it. So it just had this beautiful like crystal rainbow.
Yeah.
Oh, it was just like so beautiful. And I walked back to my house and I sat in my backyard, and my butt melted the frost. It was just like, it felt so good. It was cold, but I was like nice and warm in my coat. And it was just a really great experience. And then my weekend was super nourishing. I met this person randomly who was totally like soul tribe. Like, so that I have a new friend in my life out of nowhere. Like, yeah, so that was really beautiful. And so, and I've continued blessing the water and so on. And like in my shower, I don't do baths here because I live in Ilion and the water is actually not that great in this town. I have a filter on my shower. So I just,
Yeah.
that's enough for me. But so like what I've been working, I'm not the best at, I have ADHD, and like keeping my home organized, it goes in cycles of like organized in chaos. So a breakthrough that I had this week was a shift in my perspective of like, look at this skill, like a new approach of like, let's say you just had a brand new baby. So look at the skill as though you just had a brand new baby, and over the next few months, you know, like find your way that works for you with your organization, but treat it just like you would a new baby. Like talk, you know what I mean? Not so much talk to myself, like, but handle it like with the care and tenderness and joy and excitement of like you just gave birth to a new skill, or like a new baby that has to learn the skill. That's probably the better way to put it. And I never thought of it that way in my entire life. I'm 47, so we'll see how this works.
I like that. That's beautiful.
Yeah, at least the thought came through. So
Yeah.
you know, down the road, I'll reach back out and and see if it's working.
Yeah, might be something you have to forget and remember and forget and remember and forget and remember until you remember it.
Yeah, yeah.
But
But I
that's
thought it was
great.
really, yeah, I thought the consciousness, the mindset around it was like, I was like, this is kind of like neurogenesis. You know, I'd never had this perspective around this particular problem before. So, yeah.
Cool. Excellent. Great. Thank you so much. Okay, Barbara, you ready?
Hey. Okay, I don't know if you want me to share this at this point in time, because it has to do with death. And I would be glad to share it at the time where you're going on. Yeah, I know.
Go ahead and share it now.
And the death part is, you know, I do deliver Meals on Wheels. And I went to a person's store today, and it was a DNR on the door, which is do not resuscitate. And it was such a surprise. Now, on the other hand, I am a hospice volunteer. I go into homes. I've been with people. Hospice of Lenawee has a program of do not resuscitate, or not. No, they do not have that program. They have a program of do not die alone, NODA. And so we have that program. I'm part of it. I've been with people and whatever. But it was, when you said that we were going to talk about this tonight. And this happened today. And it brought into all the emotions, all the feelings. And it's, I don't know what to say. I'm just sharing what my heart feels. If my heart is so in gratitude of being able to serve someone at the end of their life. That's my point. This isn't sadness and this isn't grief. It is like, oh my God, I have this opportunity to give love to this person. And then I turned and there was another person on our list that is in the process of transcending. So I lit my candle tonight right here, and I am so grateful to know about the elements, to know about so many things, and to be able to share this with a group of people. That's I'm just grateful, and I thank you.
Thank you, Barbara, for all your service and all your grace.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to give.
I know, it's part of your beauty. Okay.
So you can go into death now.
All right. Just looking here. Here, this is what we'll do. Wait. Here, here, here. We'll get some humor for now. But oh, wait, that's not it. Slideshow from beginning. No, wait, this one. Slideshow. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. Here. Everybody see that? The humor for the day. And make the decision to be immortal anytime you want. Then you just got to do it. All right. All right, so some talk about death. Yeah. So Leonard Buddhism and your next life. That's what we're going to talk about. So I haven't said this actually. So Leonard is the guy who, you know, came up with rebirthing. He was the guy who went over to India and met with Babaji, and meeting Babaji and understanding rebirthing and understanding how the elements work into life. He kind of made it his life mission to seek out immortals and find them and learn from them and learn how to be immortal. And Leonard died. I haven't said that, you know, I don't know if anybody knew that or not, but Leonard died in 2019. And, you know, it really, so do we believe him or not? Do we believe I what is this physical immortality stuff? If this guy who did the practices religiously, intensely, every day, studied, released his death urge, went through senility, dealt with all of his stuff, taught physical immortality, if he dies, what chance do I have? What chance, what does physical immortality mean in a practical way if the guy who's espousing it and learning from it dies? And so I just kind of want to address that, because death is a part of life, and until we conquer death, it's a part of life. And what Leonard used to say is that every death is an opportunity to learn. Every time you encounter a death, you can go through a process of, okay, well, what did this person do? How did this person live their life? What were they doing that contributed to their death? What choices did they make? What choices could they have made that might have given them either longer life, or, you know, into more of an alignment with the divine and become physically immortal. He used to have this thing. He used to say, I'm going to be 300 years old, because at 300 years old is when you've figured it out, right? If you can live to be 300, then you've figured out how to live a long time. And if you figure out how to live a long time, you can keep living a long time. And so Leonard used to say, yeah, I'm going to have, you know, I'm inviting you to my 300th birthday party. You going to be around? You know, I'm going to be around, he used to say, and he's not, but, you know, but that's a goal, right? And so, and the other thing he used to say is that, you know, you spend a lot of time getting to where you are. It's okay to spend a lot of time getting yourself out of where you are. So for a long time, my goal was to spend my first 100 years learning how to survive my second 100 years. And then I figured, if I survive my second 100 years, I'll figure out during that second 100 years how to make it to 300 years. So 300 years is kind of like the benchmark, the goal, right? And since Leonard died, I've kind of been looking at my own mortality and thinking, well, what if how important really is physical immortality? How important is the idea of longevity and living forever? And I'm still working on that. I don't have all of the answers. But what I can say is that what has really hit home with me about physical immortality is it really matters about aligning with God, aligning with the divine. The point of physical immortality is accepting myself mentally, emotionally, and physically as divine energy in all of its wholeness and all of its expression. So whether or not I live 100 years, 200 years, 300 years, doesn't matter as much as how much I strive to become more and more aligned with divine energy. So, yeah. So that was, any thoughts on all of that? Yes, Carrie.
I had a lot of thoughts on these things. And I feel like physical immortality, just the words of it, that doesn't turn me on like ascension turns me on. So I think we're maybe saying the same thing. But, and you know, I might have a long way to go on that, but I feel like also everything I do in this life just is a learning that I get to keep for my next life. Yeah. So I'm starting from a different place next life. Even though
Yeah.
they say you forget everything, you don't forget everything, I don't think.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so actually you've just hit on the 2 points that we'll also get into in a minute, ascension and reincarnation and taking it with you and that stuff. So, but any other comments or discussion about, yes, Tracy?
I really think you hit it too about the divine energy thing. For me, that's what the attitude or the goal of physical mortality is. When I think of it, I think of it being in the now, being the most true, authentic self I can be, and learn to, I don't even know how to say it really, but learn how to live as a manifestor creator, totally conscious,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
and learn how to be that and to stick around to watch everybody else get it.
Yeah. And help them if we can.
And help them. Exactly.
But you doing
Yeah.
the work is what helps them, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Because there's nobody else out there. But that's another discussion.
That's another discussion. All right. Anybody else with that? Anything? All right. So getting into a little bit more about death. And so Buddhism, there are 2 concepts in Buddhism that are kind of relevant here. The first one is, in Buddhism, there's this practice. It's a meditation on death. And I don't do it. I have done it, but anyway, so what it is, it's this idea of you very specifically thinking about your own death and going to that point of your own death and it fully feeling it and feeling and being in your own death. But the point of doing that in this practice is to come back and say, okay, well, what matters in my life now? I know I'm going to die. I know that this is how I'm going to turn out. I've just done this intense meditation. Death is upon me. What if death is upon me right now? And the point is to bring it back to the immediacy of life and to do everything that you can right now in this life, in this moment, because you never know when you're going to die. You never know actually how it's going to come out. So right now is what matters. Right now, do the practices now, love now, be compassionate now, be kind now, because you never know when the end is actually going to come. And what matters is who you are now. So that's one of the Buddhist practices. Then the second thing about Buddhism is Buddhists believe in reincarnation. And Carrie, this kind of hits on your point of reincarnation. There's a difference between being reincarnated and being re-embodied. And the difference is that one is conscious and one isn't. And so, for example, the Dalai Lama, who's the Tibetan Buddhist head, everybody probably knows the Dalai Lama, he is an incarnation, a reincarnation of the Buddha Avalokiteshvara. And Avalokiteshvara has this whole line of reincarnations of the leader, spiritual leader of Buddhism. One of the other reincarnations is Kuan Yin. And what happens is when you get to that level of spiritual consciousness, spiritual awareness, spiritual oneness, you're not limited in your body. And you can see ahead into your next life and you can actually create your next life. And so in Buddhism, in this lineage, the reason that they can find the next Dalai Lama is because this Dalai Lama is saying, okay, when I reincarnate, it's going to be here. And I'm going to be interested in these things. And I will have this particular mala that's going to be my special mala. So when you go to this place and find someone who's interested in these things and has this particular mala, you will know that's me, right? And this is a whole tradition. And did anybody ever watch King of the Hill? there was an episode in King of the Hill where Bobby, the little boy, no, nobody's seeing it. Okay. It was funny because anyway, they thought Bobby was a reincarnation of a great spiritual master. Anyway, but that's how they figure it out is when you get to that spiritual consciousness, you can actually choose how to come back, when to come back, where to come back. And it's not like, and what happens is that, okay, so in Buddhism, it's about karma, and karma is this stuff that you've created, that you're spinning around in. And part of that, so you got to release that and get rid of all your karma. And then when you get rid of all your karma, you can choose to come back. As long as you have that karma that you're still in, that is spinning and coming at you, you don't have a choice. You got to deal with your karma. So it's a difference between getting to a level of consciousness, awareness, enlightenment, whatever you want, where you're not required to come back to work stuff out. So the more stuff you work out in this life, the less stuff you have to work out in your next life and in the next life. So even if you don't make it enlightened or whatever in this life, it matters next life or the next life. So everything matters that you do in this life. Okay. Okay, now the immortals, and Carrie, this also gets into, so this is about all of the different ways that you can be immortal. So in the Christian tradition, did you know that Jesus isn't the only one who ascended? His mother also ascended. John the Apostle, his cousin, also ascended. In the Old Testament, Enoch and Elijah, the two prophets, ascended. As far as longevity, you know, Noah died at the age of 950. Melchizedek never died, but he aged and then just kind of left. He probably ascended, but he's not counted as ascending. Abraham lived to 175, and Sarah, his wife, lived to be 127. And those age 175 and 127 was down from Noah's time, which was 950. And before that, we'll get into this a little bit, but in the Ramayana, which is the Indian literature, people's lifespans were 5,000 years, 10,000 years. So there are records of people living long times, if you believe it. So that's the Christian tradition. So in Christianity, you can ascend. And Carrie, I agree. Like, I kind of dig the ascension thing. I really don't want to, like, it's not about dying or living. Like, I like the ascension thing. Like I said, I believe Jesus. All of this and more than this shall you also do. Jesus ascended. I can ascend. I like the ascension idea. So then there's the Chinese Taoist tradition. So this, yeah. So in the Chinese, this is the book, The Taoist Immortals. And Taoism is kind of the originator of the Qigong energy exercise. And it's through these energy exercises that the Chinese immortals in the Taoist tradition become immortal. And they, I'll send you a story anyway, but it's about the breath. And in one story, they are able to look at somebody, immortals are able to look at somebody and say, oh, you have the breath of an immortal. And so when your breath lightens and everything gets lighter, like everything gets lighter. There's a lot of stories in the Chinese, this tradition, where they're flying, where they disappear, walking through walls, that kinds of stuff. So the Chinese tradition. Then the Indian tradition. And this is what Leonard studied and did. So there are, so in the upper right hand corner of these pictures here, these are the Hindu immortals. And so there are people, and they're mostly rishis, who are the great sages of the times long before, who lived for thousands of years and who are considered immortal. Of course, there's Babaji, who Leonard met. Now, the other thing is it kind of depends on how you look at this, because to some people, Babaji died. Babaji, you know, what we who trust Babaji, what we say is he stopped his heart. So Babaji left his body intentionally. What that looks like to the world is that Babaji died. So it's a toss-up, whatever you want to believe, whether Babaji died or whether Babaji intentionally stopped his heart. There have been stories like he was alive, just like Jesus. After his ascension, he showed himself to some of his disciples, and Thomas, the doubting Thomas, was the one who wanted to touch his wounds. Well, Babaji still shows up to people. Babaji still lives somewhere, still writes emails to people, still is out there. So I trust that Babaji just stopped his heart and he's doing his thing, because beyond my mind. Okay, and then, so one of Leonard's stories is that when he first started looking for immortals, not all Indians believe in physical immortality. They believe in miracles. He met one guy who was 300 years old, who could feed the 5,000 like Jesus did, who could heal a crowd of people from their illness. And what he would do is he would take on all of their illness and have every illness that the crowd had, but he took it from them. And then he would get examined by doctors, and the doctors would be like, "You're the sickest man in the world. You're never going to live till morning." And then he would wake up in the morning and the doctors would examine him and they would say, "You're the healthiest man in the world." So he was able to transmute all of that illness, and he was the one who could feed the 5,000, but he was not immortal. Then there's these guys here. This is Bartraji and Gopichand. They are they're either brothers or cousins, I'm not sure, but Bartraji is a 2,000-year-old yogi who has an estate in India. You can still go to his ashram, his temple. Sometimes you can meet him if he wants you to. Those of you who know Kira Longman, she met Bartraji when he was alive 2,000 years ago. He was a poet, a linguist, he wrote books. So we still have his books. This picture was taken at a celebration in India called the Kumbh Mela. And what that means is the festival of the immortals. So it happens every 12 years. And the immortals all come to the Kumbh Mela and talk to each other. "Hey, how you doing? Yeah, you still immortal? It's all good. All right." So the festival of the immortals. And if you're not immortal, you don't necessarily know who the immortals are. They all know each other, but you don't necessarily know because they don't want to deal with people who aren't immortal. But what Bartraji does at this festival is he gets buried alive. Every 12 years, he gets buried alive. And there are graves where he's been buried alive, and he shows up again on his estate, living his life, doing his thing. 2,000-year-old immortal yogi. So one of my new goals is to go to India and meet Bartraji. I'm working on that. I think I'm gonna see how that happens. So, and then Goraknath is Bartraji's guru, and also an immortal. So why do we care? So we care because this is where we started the course. Because you are not your body. You are, the reality of who you are is divine energy, is love, is the life that is the only thing that exists, is life. That's who you are. Most traditions that we are familiar with today, it's about enlightenment of the mind. And enlightenment of the mind is great. It helps us with getting through all of our crap, but physical immortality takes the enlightenment of the mind and leads to the physical universe, because life is both spiritual and material. Life is both the name and the form. Life is both physical and metaphysical. Life is all that exists. So if you're going to become enlightened and live in life, you have an entire physical universe that is infinite and internal, that you can master as much as the metaphysical, energetic universe. That's why it matters. All right, let's share. Any questions, comments, thoughts on all of that?
Could I mention, I think I have questions. So I'm taking this all in while also processing some things that came to my awareness this past week also. One of my closest friends, she was telling me her husband is Jewish and his friends started to dabble in the dark Kabbalah, which is the tree of death, basically. And I have a background, I grew up like in a Judeo-Christian background, but my incarnation, my family incarnation's quite heavy, and I'm a Scorpio and all. So like, this is a heavy incarnation for me, for sure. And it's been intense work, it feels like, all my life. So, okay, what I never knew about this that came to my attention this week, I guess they describe, I can't even pronounce what it's called. It's like the Clipafeth or something like that. But the concept is that each section of the tree of death, it's like the shells of God's creation came and like encased the light. And there's like a whole other rabbit hole with it, but I guess what kind of stood out to me is that we have a lot of, even in light worker communities, there's like a lot of fear around all of this stuff. And even me, I'm a little like, I'm sensitive to like portals and you don't want to open things, but I don't know, something striking me with that, plus all this information that you're sharing. And it's almost like being in like a level of initiation. And I think it's also important in understanding ascension. I want to try not to go on a rabbit trail with this because I'm kind of talking this out and processing it at the same time. But like Jesus said, I give you the keys to the kingdom. And then there's a scripture, I think it's in the New Testament. I can't remember. It's, I think, one of the books of Peter where it says that Jesus even went and he like preached to the souls that were in hell. And so I'm also wondering if all of this, like you had said something before about like doing our work plus being able to help others do the work. So I'm even wondering, like, in our levels of mastery, if we are to go into these realms and set the captives free, so to speak, or I don't know. I'm just kind of talking this out because all this information is coming through. So any feedback, or if it sparks anything, like even if sometimes the answers come in like talking through it, but I was like, this is like super interesting. And something else that struck me, like in seeing, there was one book that was referenced and someone made a comment on it and gave like 10 books almost. I was like, oh my gosh, I felt like, and they were all books on like here's an example: healing lost souls, releasing unwanted spirits from your energy body, the unquiet dead, a psychologist treats spirit possession. Like I just felt like I had like this all brought to my attention. So any feedback, any thoughts on how these interconnect, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Well, life is one. Everything is one. Not everyone is called or has a mission or purpose to save the hellbound souls, right? If you feel like it is, good on you. It takes a whole lot to do that, right? But so to me, what matters is your clarity within yourself for yourself. And being a Scorpio, you can be seduced by the dark side, right? Scorpios like that. They like that. So what I would say is keep your clarity, focus on purity, focus on truth for yourself. The practices can help you do that because the practices will purify. It's about spiritual purification. And keep focused on the highest truth that you can. And if those other things don't align with your highest truth, they will fall away, and let them fall away. If they resonate somehow with your highest truth, then know that life is one. You are doing what your life is calling you to do, and let it be your life, because you can't step outside of life, whether it's dark or light, you know, and eventually life is all there is. So that's what I would say. All right. Anybody else with any of that? Comments, questions? Did you find it interesting? Okay, good. So we have just a couple of minutes left. So we will finish up. So some points to remember. So this is kind of what I hope that you will take away from this. Earth, air, water, and fire are original expressions of the divine. When you connect with earth, air, water, and fire, you are connecting with the divine. It's easy, it's pleasurable, it's fun, it's all good. God gave us earth, air, water, and fire to make it easy to connect with God. It's more important to connect with God than to think about how you're doing it. So earth, air, water, and fire heal the mind while cleansing the emotions. The mind and the emotions are what spin us into things we don't understand. So let yourself be purified through earth, air, water, and fire. The more you do earth, air, water, and fire, the more harmonious you experience your life, because they are aligning you with the divine. When you're aligned with the divine, life flows. The mind creates and destroys. When you use it in the service of the divine, you align with life. And so your creation and destruction can be in service to the divine. The mind serves you. So if your mind is not serving you, you're the boss. Make your mind serve you. That's what mantra is about. That's what affirmations are about. That's what conscious choice is about. Your mind serves you. You serve God, because you are the divine presence. So make your mind serve you, serve God. When you focus your thoughts on the divine, whatever the name of God that you choose, you are aligning with divine will. There is only one will. This thing about my will, your will, his will, surrender to the will, there's only one will. When you're aligned with that will, there is only one will, and you're in that flow. Practice, practice, practice. Just stay with earth, air, water, and fire. Slowly is holy, baby steps. This stuff is mind-blowing. Let yourself integrate and assimilate slowly. It's all good. Keep, as best you can, committed to the practices, because they're easy. All of those things that we do before class every day, earth, air, water, fire, affirmations, it takes less than 5 minutes. Take 5 minutes every day to connect with the divine, and just do it every day, whether you want to or not, whether your mind says, oh gosh, not today. If you can't spend 5 minutes connecting with the divine every day, I don't know, try to. That's all I'm saying. Remember that practicing is validating. It self-validates. The more you practice, the more the practices cleanse you, make your life better, the more you understand how the practices matter in your life, because you're seeing the results as they show up in your life. All right. here's my little blurb for everybody to work with me, and how you can find me. I do sessions, rebirthing, Jara, Reiki, life counseling. I do classes. I'm going to have a couple more classes coming up with Even Stars Chalice next year. The next one is going to be called Mastery in a Nutshell, which is going to deal more with the mind and how to master the mind and what that looks like. I'm going to do another one of these classes, Spiritual Purification and Physical Immortality, probably in the summer. The thing about, even though you've gotten this class, it doesn't stop. So even doing this class, you could take it again and get more out of it, because you'll be hearing these things a second time and understand them with a new level of understanding. I do journeys, which is also a mind practice, a commitment to 40 days of contemplation on very intense affirmations, which align you in your mind with the divine. I will teach you fire ceremonies, and I have a class coming up that I'm working on called Being Spiritual But Not Religious, which is about taking responsibility for your own spirituality through responsibility. You can also co-retreat with me. My house is now a spiritual purification and physical immortality center. We do the practices together. So it's sort of like the vision quest that I mentioned with Leonard. You can do it for 3 days, for 6 days, for 9 days, for 2 weeks. You come, we hang out together. Well, we hang out separately, but together, doing earth, air, water, and fire and mind. We rebirth each other if you're a rebirther. So co-retreat with me. We can also just work together to do something just for you. Design classes and sessions and things for you to create your own spiritual but not religious path. Okay. How to find me? My website is withpearls.com. You can get me at susanwithpearls.com. The Zen Zone 49286 is the name of my Spiritual Purification and Physical Immortality Center at this time, and it's that number. I'm gonna, okay. We didn't even get into the psychology of physical immortality. So what you can expect for now is I will take the slideshow presentations and put them into a PDF and send those out so that you will have the slideshow presentations. I attached, or Mara attached, a couple of quick handouts. One was called the I Am Alive Now Project, and the other one was Physical Immortality in One Page. Those were both written by Leonard. And it's just real, you know, it's less than 4 pages on physical immortality and staying alive. Staying alive? Sorry. I had to, I'm a dork. And then I'll also, with that, I sent out the affirmations. So you'll get those again, along with the slideshow presentations coming up in the next week or so. You have my email address, reach out to me. And if you want to just let me know next week how things are going. I mean, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear how things are going for you if you're still with the practices and stuff. So that's what to expect. That's how to contact me. It's good. From y'all. Sorry, Mara. I know we're a little over, but
It's okay, not by much.
Okay. Any last words?
Thank you for doing this.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you
you.
so much.
All right. Thank you all. You guys have been
Yeah,
lovely.
thank you.
So blessings to everyone. I love you all.
Blessings to you.
Blessings to you.
Thanks, Susan.
Thank
Blessings.
you. Blessings to everyone.
You guys too. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Yeah.